I'm comfortable showing affection to other Black men.
When you come from the hood, you can't tell another Black man what's up, or you can't, that head nod is beef. So like giving a head nod to another Black man could start beef, could start something that, you know, could go automatically left. It's imperative that we, the new generation, the young generation, we embrace one another, because we as Black men, we identify with the trauma that we've all encountered through our lives. And sadly, we're our biggest enemies. So yeah, I strongly agree we should show each other affection.
I actually disagree. The prompt was, do we feel comfortable? Like, do us individually feel comfortable showing that affection to Black men? I move from strongly disagree to disagree, because I do feel comfortable with some Black men showing affection, but there was an entirely different generation before me who was very hard on their Black sons. My dad's generation was like, you gotta be tough, you have to speak a certain way. So me coming into the picture who's a lot more sentimental and affectionate was completely shunned. My dad was like, your voice isn't deep enough, you're too skinny, you need to eat a burger. Growing up, that made me feel really uncomfortable with certain Black men to show that type of affection. Whereas other people of different races, I was like, oh, I can be myself, because they don't care how deep my voice sounds, or they don't care how much I look like, because they literally don't care. When I think about my dad, I wish that I could think of this loving, warm memory, but I don't really have the fondest memories of him. I remember when I was playing basketball when I was 4, or baseball, my dad was like, oh my gosh, and I also look at the pictures when I was young and I would see him like kind of hold me in those kind of warm moments. I would say the shift of our dynamics changed when I started to really step into who I feel like I was called to be in life, and it didn't align with his visions. He wanted me to go D1 in basketball and to be this aggressive force, and when he saw me stepping into more of the artistic, being openly gay, I think that it kind of shifted his perspective, and at the end of the day, he's not a bad guy. Like, he is a wonderful human being. It doesn't change the fact that I love him regardless.
If we're talking just purely like personally, I've been privileged to not have that experience. My family is really close-knit. My dad's always shown me a lot of affection, and then that's encouraged me to show that same type of affection. My cousins, we have extended family, friends, etc. I feel very privileged in that regard. And I mean, I'm open to giving hugs. I like play with my dad's ears. I'm 38 years old, I still do that.
I wish I had that experience too, because I know what you're talking about, and I'm like that. Like, I'm very warm and huggy-feely, and my dad, when he gives people hugs, or I've seen a lot of other Black men from the older generation, what they'll do is they'll be like, and I'm just like, ow. And one of my cousins literally goes, ow, that like hurts.
So I am over here at strongly agree, because when I was being raised, my father made sure that he showed me affection. I remember there was a time where he kissed me. Another family member said, you kiss your sons? And he goes, yes, I do. And I hug them and I love them. So that is how I show them love. But of course, me being a little insecure growing up, I did not show affection at all. And when I had 2 kids of my own, I tried really hard to be able to get through that, to be able to show them affection like as my dad showed me.
I wanted to speak to your point that you made. I think it's important to recognize that maybe a lot of us on this side also were raised under the same conditions of masculinity, meaning you don't say I love you, you don't give hugs, you don't embrace one another. You're supposed to know that I love you, right? But I think times have changed, and I'm a Black father now, right? My daughter's 7 months old, like, thank y'all. And being a Black father, it is our jobs, as you mentioned, to set the standard for what we want these future generations to, how do we want them to move, how we want them to react, and how we want them to engage with one another. I think times have changed where we can give one another a hug. We can, say, hey, I love you, because life is short and we don't know when our last moment will be with our brother, our cousin, our neighbor. So it's important to pour into it. And I hope to see you slowly come more on this side one day.
Question, do you feel like most people watching this video will agree that times have changed and that most black men do feel like they can open up, or do you not agree?
I don't agree that everybody feels that way. I feel like it's a slow progression with anything. I'll give an example with my fraternity brothers. When I originally joined my fraternity 10 years ago, it was very masculine. What's up, bro? Like, you know what it is. But now we may get off the phone and say like, I love you, brother.
Oh,
have a
so
great day.
sweet.
You know, keep pushing. And so I would say we're not there 100%.
Yeah.
But I see more and more, I love this visual of us getting closer to agreeing.
Even to add on to that though, like if I'm just thinking back to my dad's generation, who's like, he is significantly older, like there has been a significant progression from that I've very like demonstratively seen, like in terms of even his growth, like over my experience with him, and knowing like stories that he told me about growing up and like his childhood, and like he had to be hardened in that way, because like, I mean, literally growing up, he was chased by the KKK as a kid, and like he couldn't show that kind of like emotion, because that was weakness, and that was something that could like, you know, endanger his safety and the safety of his family. But I do see people opening up more, like black men opening up more overall than like that, you know? And so that's what makes me feel like progress might be slow, but there is progress, you know?
I like that.
I just want to piggyback off what he said. It's up to us to break these generational curses and stuff. So I had a rough childhood. I really didn't have my father in my life. I don't know who he is. So like everything I learned, I had to learn on my own trial and error. Yeah, like it's kind of hard for me to open up too far because my trust kind of messed up. My mom was murdered when I was 3. And I never knew who my father was. So my grandma took custody of me first. And then once I became a teenager, my aunt took custody of me. Seen a lot of things I probably shouldn't have seen at such a young age, and going through stuff that grown men couldn't even deal with. It was a lot. I'm learning as I get older, you know, that it's okay to be able to open up and show love and, you know, let people in.
Oh yeah, I just want to add like some of my testimony. Growing up like with my dad, that's probably like the most I've ever interacted with like a black man. Honestly, just like most people I have in my life are like black women. And like as a child, I grew up as a girl, so I'm trans, if anyone didn't know that, hey. So he showed me, thank you, brother. So he showed me like a lot of affection because I was like his little girl, right? So like he would tell me I love you, I'll get kisses tucked in bed, like just like princess treatment for real, for real. I transitioned at 18, so like I started presenting like this, right? You know, I started sounding like this, I just looked like a man, and I did feel like a shift in how he treated me. Like I realized that like, okay, now we're really like masculinity to masculinity, like I just felt different. Like I didn't get as much I love yous. Transitioning at such like not a young age, but during high school, I think that's like a really pivotal time in my life. And the biggest struggle I had to deal with was honestly like family. Feeling at home in my body is the easy part, like this is fun, but just navigating family life, especially being a black person and navigating life with African parents and all that, that was the hardest part.
I have a question. So you mentioned that shift happened when you were transitioning.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though the shift was your dad now treating you as you wanted to be seen and as you walk through the world?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like there was maybe resentment or some untalked about, you know, feelings that went along there?
Maybe both. I think that like, I mean, he came from Nigeria and he came to America, so I feel like he's adopted like the American mentality, all like the toxic masculinity, things like that. Like just how he interacts with other men is maybe not as affectionate, so I can see where he gets that from. So now that he is like seeing me as a man, I get that too. So like, I'd say both, yeah.
I allow myself to be soft sometimes.
Yes, this world it's not a place for soft people. If you want to run a business in today's economy, in today's industry, there's no room for soft people.
There's a spectrum, right? There's like soft, and there's like also where you have to be hard. There are times where I have to be blunt, and then there's times where I'm talking to my team like, did you guys watch Family Matters and Blastoise and Pokemon? And then there's times where
Are you doing that on the clock?
Huh?
Are you doing that on the clock, or possibly there's a break?
I'm doing that on the clock, and it's served me very, very well. So like, I understand what you're saying, because I feel like a lot of times black men are taught like you have to be hard all the time, but look where it's gotten us, like truly. And like, but whereas I see other black people who are in high positions and they treat people with kindness, whether it's business or not, and doors fly open for them. So there's a spectrum. It's not just being blunt all the time.
And I want to hop in right there to your point. At what point are you soft? So I think about, I'm soft when I get home. When I'm decompressed,
Yeah, of course.
clothes off, my wife is there, my daughter's there, I'm not coming in like, you know, you
No,
need to be doing
I'm
this.
coming smoking wood, kicking it, laid back. But when I get into that door, nothing is going past me. So being soft, I'll pinpoint it to soft in business. I use my platform to do things for others that I wasn't even able to do for myself at the time. In that sense, I was being soft and I was being open and I wanted the best for everyone and everything. It was so frustrating to me. I mean, it cost me my sanity. And so I realized like being soft and having a good heart don't take you nowhere but stepped on.
I just want to say, like, I agree with both of them, but speaking personally for myself, like, that's why I'm at somewhat agree. Like, I'm coming out of there where, you know, I strongly disagree to be soft, and now I'm like learning how to be soft, how to open up, you know, when to be hard, when not to be, you know what I'm saying? So really learning myself and who I am from within, like what I stand for and what I believe in, and that's pretty much the foundation, and then I kind of like go off of that to like, you know, open my wings and stuff. I know for a fact, like I'm supposed to be a statistic. Like with my upbringing and everything I went through, I wasn't supposed to live past 25. I was the first one to graduate in my family, and then I went to college. So just, I don't know, just try to keep pushing the envelope, you know, in a different direction.
I find that, I mean, maybe this is just my definition of being soft, going through life with like respecting, kindness, and just like generosity, happiness. I find that when I'm being soft, I'm much happier. The people around me are much happier. I have my third feature film that I've directed is about to come out, and I'm nice to the crew. I don't treat people disrespectfully, and doesn't mean that you don't hustle, doesn't mean that you don't like try to go for every opportunity. So yeah, I felt very strongly about this prompt that you can easily navigate life as a black man, being soft. I think that we need to actually normalize that way more.
No, that I can't let that. I mean, I respectfully, but it's a privilege to be soft. When you come from what we come from, like to have parents that can provide where you're lacking, yeah, I can be a little softer.
The definition of soft, like what you think soft is, may help better understand like the prompt itself. Like what is soft to you?
Being pushed, a pushover. Being soft, that means this, like it's 2025. You're telling young black men to be soft. You're pacifying
that wasn't the prompt though.
That's what I'm getting. Like, yeah, you can get through life. You can be smooth. No, you can't.
I hear what you're saying. I don't think that you have to compromise your masculinity in order to be soft. And softness is not for everyone. It's for my family, for my wife, not every single person.
I'm sorry if I said it wrong or if it came out wrong. I believe you are beyond talented and you've done exactly what you need to do to get in the space and the field that you're in. But I think what I was speaking to is you are blessed enough to have a successful father that's there. Without that father there, the young black kid has to be strong.
I have a friend who came up from like way lower than I did. Like, I mean, he was struggling. He didn't have a father figure, nothing. He's way more successful than I am right now. He has a family. He lives in a $1.7 million house. Like, he worked his way up there, and he is one of the softest people. He treats everyone with respect, kindness. He got there, like, he's still like a very like masculine, like driven person. And maybe our differences are in what softness is, like our definitions of softness, but I feel like he is the definition of a soft black man, and he has reached these heights, and he is demonstrating that now for his two young children, and that's the kind of person I want to be, and I feel like that is possible to do. I've seen it.
I have a strong male role model.
I'll start out. Yeah, I definitely do. My dad is an incredible role model. That's like one of the great privileges of my life. I was adopted into a upper middle class family. My dad is one of the like top urologists in the country.
Oh, wow.
And he's like focused on, thank you, thank him. He's focused on prostate cancer, specifically in black men. An incredible role model. I aspire to be as great as him one day, so.
My dad, I feel like for me, he's so like inspirational that I also kind of feel like I'm not letting him down, but just like I got big shoes to fill because like he just got his PhD last week and we flew out to Georgia for that. Like he's taking care of me in all aspects, so like I can't ask for more, to be honest. So I got my dad.
I'm totally shocked that I'm actually really happy that I'm the only one over here, unfortunately. I resonate with so much what you said. I was a child prodigy in basketball. I got a college tennis scholarship and hit up against Taylor Townsend, Donald Young. I have played classical music, I'm learning Italian, and I work for a great company. But the goalpost was always moved. That relationship with my dad and hearing those things or going to basketball tournaments and winning and being like, well, you didn't score enough for the team. Dad, we won. Like, I scored the most points. I got the most rebounds. The goalpost was always moved. And he was a D1 football player, and he did really well in life. But being the son of an athlete who also gives you the same name, the bar is a bit higher sometimes.
I would say I agree because much like you guys, my parents just worked hard, and I turned 26 this year, and this is the first year my father told me, I love you. I come from Ethiopia, right? Specifically, it's called Badia. And the Badia, the people of the Badia, they're so indoctrinated into their beliefs. Masculinity is something that's a part of their DNA. They don't put sugar in their coffee because it's too feminine. Anything sweet is feminine. So they drink coffee bare. So just imagine being able to vocalize I love you to your son. That's never been a thing. My father has loved me his whole life. He's worked 17-hour days for 26 years, so I'm pretty sure he loves me.
Yeah, he showed you.
You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I would say I agree in that sense, but where I say I don't necessarily have a role model is in the sense of dealing with my emotions. Like I'm 26 years old, and nobody ever taught me how to like deal with my emotions. So even to this day, I struggle with it. We're all just carrying it around, just walking around with it. It's crazy to me.
I want to piggyback off something he said. I just want to say this, and to everybody else who have a father, like, at least he was there. Mm-hmm. Like, I never had one since I was born, so, like, all of these things I had to learn on my own from, like, the women in my family dealing with different men. You learn what you can while they're around, and then they gone, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah it's a show.
I do want to say one thing, though, to that. Like, I hate that your father wasn't there, but sometimes I feel when people do bring up like at least your father was there, it kind of diminishes the experience of the person who did go through it, and one is not higher than the other.
I get what you said. I didn't mean it that way, but I get what you're saying.
They're just two different walks.
I moved from strongly agree to somewhat agree because the question was, you have a strong male role model. I feel like I didn't have an individual who was the role model, but I had to seek out who I had to look up to for whatever it is I was trying to accomplish. But when I was standing on strongly agree, although I do have a lot of positive male role models that I've found throughout high school, all the way up into college and thereafter, my dad wasn't in my life because he was incarcerated. So he's always in and out of jail. And I had to kind of navigate manhood on my own. And my mom did what she did, but I think that it's important to realize that you need the dad in the household to teach a boy how to become a man.
So I feel with what you were saying about, like, even though my dad gave me a lot of tools and he worked really hard and he instilled that within me, I feel like my 20s and up, it was like, you better figure it out. And like when you're in a state by yourself, nobody is coming for you. Like when you go to bed at night, nobody's coming for you. There's no one to call.
Feeling alone and not having someone to call is something I feel like a lot of younger black males experience. And my nephew, I am a role model for him. And I realized not having a father in my life, I now have to step up to the plate to be the role model for my family, for my wife, for my own child now, and that's setting the tone. So in college, I got up to like 360 pounds, and I've lost over 177 pounds naturally. Yeah. So it's like I teach my family, my friends, my network how to be healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. So somebody who maybe knew me 10 years ago may not recognize me now, but I now have to step up to be the men that you all are giving your credit to in the future.
I've had to code switch both professionally and personally.
I've had to code switch professionally and personally. When I say personally, I think about situations maybe where I've interacted with police or authorities, and I wanted to present as an upstanding citizen of society, you know, as I'm sure we all have had to experience. And then professionally, I think it's important to identify and recognize yourself as submitting the best work possible and being the best version of yourself possible. So when I do step in a professional space or I am at work, I'm very mindful of how I present. And a lot of times when we have to navigate institutionalized oppression, how we dress. If I'm a white male, I come into a job interview in blue jeans and a white t-shirt, I still may be considered for the job. But if I did that, I am a thug, and all my merits, my education is stripped away. So I know I have to dress up better. I know I have to present, and I have to make sure that I'm articulating my words so I can navigate through society and life.
Can I back you up for a sec? So I'm over here because I suck at code switching so bad, and I'm just like, I'm not even gonna do it. So that's why I'm in the somewhat disagree category, because I tried it, I'm really bad at it, and it just doesn't work for me. And I figured I'd just rather be my authentic self going into the rooms. If they like me, they like me. If they don't, I can't change that. But I agree with what you said, because I work in corporate America and I have not seen too many black men in my space. And there was a particular instance where I was in the office, I would go in a lot, and I'm usually pretty close with like the directors of the company. And a black guy was coming into the office. He's from Africa, I can't remember where. And he had his hair up in like, kind of like a different hairstyle, whereas mine is short. And so one day I came into the office and I saw that he shaved his hair. And I went up to him and said, "Why did you change your hairstyle? I liked what you had." And he goes, "I saw how you would come in and how you would dress and what you would wear and how you were best friends with the directors of the company and how they interacted with you." And he said, "I shaved my hair because I want to be in the spaces that you're in." So I agree with you, because I realize that like I'm working at these big companies and I can count on one hand how many times I've ever seen a black man literally either on my team, and I've been in the business for over 10 plus years.
And I want to speak to that point as well, because that's just a prime example of how we exemplify and we're setting the tone and standard for everybody in the company.
Yes.
Or everybody that comes in in the future, or who's already here.
Speaking to that, I will say like my parents made a very clear point to like raise me like right away. Like, this is how you have to carry yourself in society. I do think it was coming from a place of like wanting me to learn like you're not going to be perceived the same way as people that are lighter than you. Like, I went to a predominantly white institute like from preschool through literally like high school, and they like I had to, you know, use that like throughout my entire life. You know, it's just a lot of times people would, you know, they'd say it in like a joking way, but like they'd be like, "Oh, you talk, you know, you don't sound black," or, you know, "I don't think of you as like a black person," as though that's a bad thing. But then I'd have like on the other side of things, I'd have black friends that came into the school or that I knew outside of the school. Like sometimes they call me an Oreo because they thought that I was too white. And so it's just like all these like weird, I never was able to kind of find like this place where I fit in, it felt like growing up. But I think that as a result of that, I kind of became a little bit of a chameleon, and code switching became very like intrinsic and just very natural for me to be able to switch, you know, how I'm speaking to, you know, given whatever group I'm in.
Yeah, I moved because we've just labeled it it's not code switching. It's called being professional. And I was cussing since I was a kid. And if you go to any inner city across America right now, guess what them kids are doing? Cussing. Guess what they're gonna grow up doing? Cussing. Then they're gonna be professionals. They're gonna be adults. They're gonna have to conduct themselves in society. And that's tough, because when you've grown up cussing, using your own words and slang and all of this, you call it code switching, but it's just being professional. Because I could kick it with the homies and we kicking, and then I get a phone call because I run a hip hop platform and I'm looking for sponsors and whatnot. Then I got, "Hey, how's it going?" "Yeah, amazing, totally." So we're looking at approximately this, and that. And then when that phone call, "Yeah, my Yeah, we finna go over here, we're gonna grab some shots, we're finna grab lunch. Yeah, it's good, I'm gonna catch you. But that's just professionalism. There's no such thing as code switching. The Asians don't call it code switching. The Mexicans don't call it code. It's not code switching. It's called being professional.
You adapt into your environment. That's what I was gonna piggyback off you and say. It's just the ability to adapt, and it's not easy. It's a learned skill. You know what I'm saying? And it takes time. And just like you say, we come from the trenches, and then you know you got to go and sit in a professional setting. You got to be able to switch it up. But yeah, you got to learn it. You know, as you go, it's a learned skill.
Or we, as voices in our community, need to tell the younger generation we shouldn't have to code switch.
Right.
You shouldn't need to be saying. Shouldn't need to be having to come up out of that. This should be natural. Like this brother was saying, you just sound like you were raised properly. You don't sound like a. So you don't have to change, because your parents taught you how to enunciate your words, how to properly use vocabulary, subject, predicate, all that stuff. So you don't have to, hey, my is and speak in broken English. So you were raised properly. That's dope.
I appreciate that. I hate that we're even kind of talking about this in a way, because what happened to like Black excellence and just, you know, articulating our words and speak, because when people look at us and the person who speaks articulately in the room, they're like, oh my gosh, you sound white. But this should be the standard for excellence regardless.
So I switched from strongly agree to somewhat agree because I suck at code switching. Like I'm really not good at it. Like, and then of course when I go into a Black space, they're like, oh, you sound white. So I went to college, 19 years old, and I was like really super duper excited. You know, actually in that college, they give you your roommate's information before you actually meet. So I called him on the phone and I was like, hey, I'm your new roommate, Justin. I'm super excited to like meet you and be roomies and it'll be great. When I got to college, I got there first and then he came into the door and he stopped and he said, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'm Justin. Oh, what?
Oh, no.
He's like, I thought you were white. And that ended that friendship because after that I found out that like he wasn't quite the person that you know he said he was. And I also identified as LGBTQ openly, and he let people into my room to gay bash me. So here we are. It was disempowering. It was very scary. I've never been in that position before. Like, it was so intense that I needed help after that. But the thing is, of course, who I was kind of living with wasn't really pro-LGBTQ at the time. So I didn't feel like I could be comfortable with telling any of my relatives about what exactly happened to me in college. And so I kept that in for a very long time. And a lot of habits, bad habits, came from that traumatic experience. And, you know, I've dealt with them through therapy, thank goodness. And, you know, I excelled. So, yeah.
Someone in my life had the talk with me about the police.
Oh my gosh.
Nah, let me start that off, please. So this conversation is, it's so important, right? Because naturally, if you're a fan of hip hop, it's the police, the pigs. Now you're 16 years old, you have a permit. Your favorite rapper been saying the police. So now you get pulled over and you're dealing with the police officer for the first time. And this police officer has dealt with trauma. There's an officer who passed away last week at a traffic stop, so he's very tense. And now you're saying, the police, you don't know how to deal with them. I'm not answering no questions. Can you get out the car? No, I'm not getting out of the car. You gotta I've seen so many of these videos, and the reason why I was so quick to jump on this, because so many of our Black mothers are in pain right now, will never recover because their children are dead because they didn't know how to handle themselves with police officers. And so it is important that we, as the older generation, we tell these young Black men, regardless of how you feel about law enforcement, shut the up and do as they tell you, so we as the adults, we can do what we need to do with litigation. We could do that. But if you die, we can't replace you. We can't go to the law. There's no lawsuit that's gonna pay for that. So yes, we have to teach the younger generation, please conduct yourself properly with these police officers. Make it home to your mother who works hard for you to provide for you.
So I would just want to add on to what you said, and I agree wholeheartedly. And my father, who grew up civil rights, movement, Alabama. He had to sit down with me and my brother and had a real serious talk about, okay, so if you get pulled over by the police, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, take your ID and your insurance out already.
Yep.
And have it ready. Do not necessarily stare them in the eye, but actually just make sure that they know that you're paying attention to them.
Make their job as easy as possible.
Right? And make it as easy as possible for them so you can just keep it moving. That's what he taught me, and I have a black son. And one time he decides to go into a supermarket and take his backpack with him. I got a call. We have your son. He's been detained. Please come down and get him. When I got him, I had to say to you, listen, when you go into a store, you are not to carry a backpack with you. And he was like, why not? I said, because you're a black man. They are already looking at you when you walk in the store. And why would you have that backpack with you anyway? And of course I was questioning him and he's like, nothing. I'm like, okay, we're gonna talk about this when we get home.
No, I think you made a great point. It's important for us to try to identify all these preconditioned steps before you even get in the car. Growing up in Watts, you of course know about police, you know what to say, what to do, where to go. But at the same time, when I started driving as a teenager, I didn't have the opportunity to have this in-depth talk with my mom. My dad's not in the home. So I didn't have a conversation about what it meant to be a black teenager driving in the San Fernando Valley. I kept getting pulled over. Did I ever get a ticket? No. But it would be a series of like questions and I'll be interrogated. And where are you going? What school do you go to? Oh, okay. And then they would fill me out and I would be let go. But that kept happening to me. And I didn't want to tell my mom because I thought I was doing something wrong. So I talked to my Hispanic friends in my class, my Latinx community, and I would ask them, like, are you getting pulled over? And they're like, no, I've never been pulled over. And I'm like, so it's just me. And then it's like these light bulbs that are clicking, and it's very scary to be alone by yourself, heart racing, handing over your ID and insurance, and it shouldn't be that. But I will teach my children, male, female, exactly how to navigate that process because it's more than just a quick tip, it's a life-saving skill, as you talked about.
So I'm on disagree, basically because I never got that, I guess, specific explicit talk from my parents, because again, like I said, I was brought up as a girl, so I think that kind of just mitigated that conversation. I don't know, I just never got it. Now, I mean, it's kind of funny, like a week ago, my mom, she told me like, be careful, I was gonna go out. And I was like, what you mean? And she was like, you look like an African, like ICE is out there. I was like, what? So I mean, that's not the police, but like still like government law enforcement, because like she was saying like, you're a black man, you look like an African man now, so just be careful. So that's like the most I've ever got, but yeah, as a kid, no, I haven't got like an explicit, direct, you need to watch out for them, nothing like that.
Yeah, the only reason I'm on somewhat disagree is because like I got the talk in like very piecemeal, kind of. It was like, it would be through just like circumstances. So for example, like I was in the car when my dad got pulled over once and then afterwards he was like, do you see how I did that situation? And then he's like, well, that's what you have, like that's how you should do it. Like I feel like he did it in a way where he just didn't want me to grow up being like afraid of the police necessarily. He expressed to me once I was an adult a lot more things that he went through as a child that were like really traumatic in that regard. I learned things over time, and that's I think why I'm just on the somewhat disagree. But we all have to learn that because it's just it's a reality for us.
Yeah, it's a reality. Yeah. It's a survival tool.
Yeah.
I want to be like an example. I want to show people that they can make it. It's a mental thing. The way you sharpen your mind is how you achieve these impossible feats.
Once I gave myself the grace to learn and to understand that it's okay to fail, I can keep trying and try again. So now I just set the standard and the tone for everybody around me.
It really gives me joy, like to be building the life that like I really wanted and to be doing the things that I put on my vision board years ago. If no one's cheering for me, I know that like I'm cheering for myself.
As black men, we are brothers. Let's hug it out.
Yeah. Hey, it's up to us, it's up to us.
Love, brother.
It's up to us.